everybody, and welcome to the Fortress Comic News, episode 110. I am one of your hosts, Chris, alongside the magnificent Mike.
I think you used that one before. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the show.
I realized at the last second that I needed to come up with something, and
Yeah. You gotta get a running list, like when you're, I don't know, when you're at work or when you just have a list on you at all times and just write them down as they come to you.
Yeah, as I'm driving down the street, just writing a list.
Like you pass like a dumpster or something, and you're like, oh yeah, piece of trash, Mike. That one works.
Dumpster
like
fire, Mike.
Yeah, you see a gutter with a rat in it, you're like, oh yeah, like
rat catcher, Mike.
You're like slimy shit, Mike, or something. I don't know. Welcome to the podcast, everyone. If you can tell by our witty and exciting banter that we do not have a special guest this week. We are your special guests. So I'm actually kind of excited because I don't think we've done this in a while, Chris.
No, we haven't. Just the two of us. Making castles in the sky.
Please don't make them listen to that. Holy shit. So I saw Captain Mar-Vell this week. It is the week. Yeah, the week Captain Mar-Vell came out on Thursday. Chris has not seen it yet, so I'm going to talk a little bit about that. We got some exciting news about the second Suicide Squad movie by James Gunn. That's gonna be pretty fun, and exciting. Cannot wait to talk about that, especially because it involves Polka Dot Man, and that's like the closest Chris will ever get to seeing the Spot.
So I came really close this week to buying a lot of comics from somebody.
Why is that?
If anyone knows the Let Go app, I don't know if that's a old thing and I'm just an old man, but
I've never heard of that, so I don't. I'm younger. Or anything, so.
It's like a digital garage sale where you can put things up and just sell them to people. I'll put video games up there once in a while and get like a little extra cash.
All our listeners like, you idiots, like, it's fucking been around for like 10 years, you dumb shit. And Chris is like,
it's like what was the guest that told us that Skype's like an old thing now and young people are laughing at
it wasn't our guest. People didn't hear this joke, but like one of our guests was on, and his 14-year-old son had to set up Skype for him, and in the process of doing so said like, why are you using Skype? Like, that's so old. And I was like, wow.
Yeah, referred to it as ye old Skype, and then we informed him we're using Google Hangouts, and we were laughed at by an even older gentleman. But anyways, yeah, so I was going to buy this lot, and the reason I wanted to buy it is because it had Amazing Spider-Man 97 through 100 in it, and 90... Someone's going to get mad at me if I screw this up, but 97, 98, 99, I believe, are the first appearance of the Spot. So 97 is his first appearance as his alter ego, 98 is the first appearance as the Spot, and 99 is the first time he's on the cover.
Oh, I thought you were going to say like 99 is his death.
Spot lives strong.
He can't travel through dimensions, so I guess that's
his own dimension, dude.
Yeah,
he has Spot World. World, man.
You're selling it hard.
I love the Spot. So a little housekeeping. You all probably noticed on the feed there was an extra show on Friday. That's my new podcast, the Bat Friends podcast. Check it out, everybody.
Yeah, tell the viewers about that, Chris. How do they access it? What's going on there?
It's got its own feed on most services. I'm still working with a few of them, but just search for Bat Friends podcast. You'll find it. I already see that a bunch of people have jumped on it already, so I'm thank you for that. It's with our good friend Joe, the world champion Joe Pingrazio, and we talk about Batman the animated series episode by episode. And
I can't wait till you guys get to the Grey Ghost episode.
Yeah,
which is like, I think it's like this first season 1 season finale or something like that.
We're in the beginning. We're very intrigued by the fact that the show takes place in the 30s and there's like modern day technology, so we think that Bruce is just a super genius who's created all this technology.
There's the underlying plot there that you guys are like running with.
We're finding it all. On top of that, if you guys want to get that show 3 days early, patreon.com/FortressComicNews, $1 a month gets you 3 days early every week. Or if you just want to throw us a buck because you say, hey, you guys are pretty cool. We like that too. And also Amazon. If you go to our website and click on the banner at the top, the Amazon banner, you can shop on Amazon. You do that. It's an advertising thing. We get a little kickback from it. So it doesn't cost you a dime more, but it makes Mike a little bit happier if I can send him some shekels once in a while.
It does. If I get some shekels in the mail, I'm a very happy person.
Mike has some college loans to pay off, everybody.
Oh, God, please. Let's not get... I come to this podcast to escape the reality of my life. Holy shit. When the podcast gets way too real, everyone. With that, we're going to jump into the news.
News starts off way too real.
Before I jump out the window. I mean, since we're on a sad, depressing note, we'll talk about the sad news this week. Actor Luke Perry's passed away from a stroke. Very sad. Yeah. Only 52. It sucks, man. Dr. 90210, right? Is that the main shows he's from? And then he was on Mark Waid's writing the book, the comic book, or Archie.
90210 is what everyone knows him from.
But, and then Riverdale.
The geek cred is Riverdale, and he was actually a voice in the Saturday morning Mortal Kombat cartoon. If anybody remembers that, yeah.
What a resume to have. That is awesome.
And he was great in Riverdale. I've watched a few here and there. The missus really likes that show, and he still had it up until the day he died. And unfortunately, the show is I don't know how to say that specifically, but the show is not going on right now in memorial for him. It just sucks that we lost what seems like a good guy and a good talent. So,
what did you refer to it as? His geek cred?
His geek cred.
Is that for like the Urban Dictionary? It's like the one's tied to the geek world.
It's one of my many things I steal from Kevin Smith all the time.
Oh, okay. Okay, I've never heard that before, but so now everybody knows there's geek cred.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting. Yeah. So I guess this is kind of sad. I'm this next piece of news I've been waiting for. And we'll spin it as like a happy note. Okay. So Steve Amell announced on Twitter this week that it'd be last week now, but that they're doing a short season of Arrow next season, and it's going to be ending after 10 episodes.
Yeah.
So it's going to be ending right during the Crisis on Infinite Earths. And if anybody knows the Crisis on Infinite Earths storyline, you got a lot of Earths, and they kind of consolidate some heroes here and there. A lot of people die. And considering that it's going to be their last episode, kind of think we're going to lose the Arrowverse altogether. I think there's going to be a lot of cleaning up on the CW. Not in a bad sense, though. I mean, like, Arrow went for what? It's going to be its 9th season?
Yeah. 8 or 9.
Come on. You got to stop a show after a while. It's like, and the big thing here is not being canceled, right? He's saying the show is ending. It's like, shows have to end eventually. And a lot of people argue, like, oh, man, Firefly ended too soon because it got canceled. But then it's like, Lost, we could have did without the last season and stuff like that. So I think Arrow's in a pretty good spot overall.
Yeah, and Arrow, as of recently, has been getting shit on a lot. People aren't enjoying it as much. I still personally enjoy it, but what we all got to remember is Arrow set the template that makes Flash and all these other shows work, and you know that Batwoman's going to be the same thing as well. Right. So that show's a big deal at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, it still has a huge fan base.
Yeah, and Steve Amell really embodied Oliver Queen. Like, he actually went out of his way to make sure that nobody else was able to play that character, like to go to the point where he was playing the voice in the Lego video games, and some of the cartoons as well. So kudos to him. He was always a big DC fan, and I thought he did a great job in the show. I really enjoyed it. Hopefully this leads to something good for him. And yeah, so it's speculation time. What's going down and Crisis on Infinite Earths? Like, instead of a Flash dying, are we getting a Green Arrow dying?
I don't know. And Flash might not die, but we could get a new Flash out of it. You know what I mean? Like maybe they just give Wally West the mantle for a whole season or something. I don't know. They could do anything. And we keep talking about all these DC shows they're adding to their streaming service, and then on the same side, Disney's pulling all their shows from Netflix. Like maybe going forward, they're just not going to be on the CW anymore. They're just going to boost all their shows over to the streaming service.
Maybe. I was thinking that, they're going to be doing the Batwoman show. What if they kill off Arrow, they have that emotional moment with him and Felicity and everything, and Felicity just kind of scoots on over to Gotham.
Becomes the Oracle?
Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad idea.
Yeah, but they're definitely making space for another show. So they got Batwoman coming up. That's going to take the spot of Arrow.
Right.
In terms of the programming.
And we talked about that. You don't need 2 dark, brooding CW shows.
Yeah, because Arrow, as great as it was, and as much as I enjoyed it, it really was a Batman and a Green Hood show.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think 3 shows for DC is enough, like on one network.
Right.
So, yeah, hopefully that works out. And it sucks that it's leaving, but it looks like Batwoman's going to be pretty good. So,
yeah, I mean, we talked about it just from the crossover stuff. Plus, she's got more gadgets.
The crossover really cured all of my problems with what was going on beforehand, and I feel like the actress Ruby Rose really stepped it up in that. At least that one crossover. We'll see how she does in the whole series. she's gotta hold our attention for like 24 episodes. Yeah,
that's another thing too. Like I know before this all happened, the Arrow team was asked, like not the Arrow team, the Arrow fans were asking for shortened seasons, which is like, why can't I understand like they order it on the CW's channel or whatever, but why does it have to be 24? Why does every season have to be 24 episodes? Because there's obviously filler episodes. Like, why can't we just have 12 episodes all the time?
It's an old syndication problem, from what I understand, because you want your show to hit 100 episodes so you can hit syndication. That's when you make the real money off of it. Like those shows don't do well in terms of money until they hit that syndication, and it's just an old TV problem. And that's being fixed with streaming services and stuff like that. I mean, obviously, we got Umbrella Academy that was only 10 episodes, and that one season is better than most everything out there. So
it's like every streaming show is like that, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's the big problem there. And I agree. Like, even Flash, I love the Flash. That they could cut their seasons in half. There's a lot of episodes that are just filler or just nonsense. Like, they just put them in a situation just so they can have another episode.
Speaking of filler episodes, we probably had the best filler episode of Flash this week. I'm not even upset about it. Well, they kind of tie it to the whole cure for metahumans, and they need to try it on someone. Yep. So who do they decide to go try it on? King Shark, obviously, because like, why would he want to be a giant shark man thing anymore? So
because he's a king,
right? So it leads to an awesome. I think the episode's called King Shark versus Gorilla Grodd, and we do get that in the episode. So hands down, one of the best Flash episodes, which is crazy because there's been like so many. There's been 5 seasons. There's nothing more that needs to be said about Flash that week is just King Shark versus Gorilla Grodd. Watch it.
And so Walking Dead was kind of a filler episode. It was all about the Whispers getting back Alpha's daughter, and we get kind of a deep dive into what the society looks like, what their encampment looks like, how they treat each other, how they talk to each other. We get our first look at Beta in like any kind of real form. We see how they're making the masks and all this other stuff that's going on. And then at the last second, we have a character who was captured by the Whispers. I can never remember his name because there's 100 characters in fucking Walking Dead.
Like they're never important.
Yeah, it's the stand-in for Carl, essentially. He goes to get Alpha's daughter and gets caught. And then Daryl, being the badass that Daryl is, kills one of the Whispers, steals his mask, sneaks in, grabs the kid and the daughter, and runs away. And that's kind of where we left it off. So once again, it's leading up to the big community meetup, the fair, and we're gonna end the season with heads on pikes.
Oh yeah,
you can just tell. But it's been really
for dinner, kids. Heads on pikes.
Yeah, it's been really good, and I wish they would actually focus a little bit more on the Whispers and how their community is, because it's really interesting. We got this moment where somebody challenges Alpha, and they go through the whole sequence of it, and then Alpha just cuts her head right off.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so it was a really brutal and intense episode, and it was really good. So.
I'm not caught up on Doom Patrol yet, but I watched the second to latest episode, and there's it's a lot of mysticism. It's an episode where it's about a cult basically, and they're raising this kid to like destroy the world, and this guy who's like a Constantine character. So I found out that he basically is Constantine, but back when Grant Morrison was writing Doom Patrol, he wanted to use Constantine for like the story arc. He's like this guy's a magician that's part of like the Knights Templar, and he couldn't have the permission, so he created his own character who's basically, I mean, he's British, wears a trench coat, smokes cigarettes, and does magic. So like he's John Constantine, but he just has a different name. But it was really cool. Some of the magic he does, like opening portals and doing all this other mystic crap. It was a cool episode. It's very strange because you get a lot of demons and like monster things throughout the episode. But it actually, there's development with Elastigirl, and because I think throughout the show so far, she's really doesn't want to be involved or be a hero, and Cyborg keeps hammering that away of like, why are you even here? Like, why you don't want to help us out? And there's kind of a really good moment in the episode where she like stretches her arm out to save someone, and it's like almost like elongated man or someone. So she's getting control over her powers, and I think that comes with being more confident and heroic in her character, which she really isn't yet. So
we mentioned, whether it was last week or 2 weeks ago, that I was kind of lukewarm on the show.
Yeah.
Of the 2 episodes I watched. What are the chances? I mean, let's do the over-under here, that this show gets to the point where they bring in Codpiece.
Dude, I think, well, it's already been renewed for a second season, so that happened this week. So they must be getting great numbers. I think we're going to see Codpiece like season 2 or 3. I wouldn't be surprised if we see season 2. Like the amount of wacky characters they've already brought in, like. I mean, they were talking to some horse unicorn person in this episode. So like, there's been some strange characters, and it's the Doom Patrol, so it makes sense. But dude, I really like Cyborg. Like Cyborg he's the leader of the team, and I think he looks great. There's a great sequence where he uses like his blaster, and it's like, why is the CGI for Doom Patrol better than the CGI on Cyborg in Justice League? Like, what? Who are they paying to do this work? It's actually, and the Cyborg isn't all CGI. Like he has an actual headpiece that he wears. Like it's a real, it's real makeup that he's wearing, and they have him in like a tracksuit, like a Russian gangster. But like other than that, the guy playing him is really good too. I don't think I've seen him in anything else. But they're doing everything right, and Mr. Nobody is pretty cool. I think him as a villain. I mean, he breaks the fourth wall quite a bit, but Alan Tudyk is just so captivating. Even his voice, like you hardly ever see him on any of the episodes, but he's just like talking, and you're like, man, I can listen to this guy tell the story all day.
Yeah, it feels to me like one of those shows where I don't feel the need to stick with it week in and week out.
Right.
But there's elements there that intrigue me that at some point I do want to watch it. And then just if the moment comes and they bring in Codpiece, whether it's this season, next season, 20 seasons from now, and I don't get emails and text messages like crazy, then you've all failed me.
Yeah.
And
we've all failed Chris easily.
And I will take full credit for the return, the triumphant return of Codpiece.
Oh, we will. We're gonna have a whole pamphlet of evidence backing this up of when it all began years ago.
I'm starting my change.org campaign.
Yep. We'll get to movies. Before we do the movie news, I did watch Captain Mar-Vell because it is the week that it came out. I'm not going to do a spoiler-filled review. I will say I really liked it. What? But yeah, so I really liked it. Obviously, I went in with like meh expectations. I wasn't expecting anything out of this movie. The writing, the way we got to certain parts of the writing, everything was. I mean, it was very rushed. Some parts, but I mean that's going to happen. You're doing an origin, and she's got to save the world all at once, all in one movie. I'll tell you one of the best parts. I mean, Brie Larson's great. But like Samuel L. Jackson, man, I was watching the movie for Samuel L. Jackson. Like young Nick Fury was awesome. Like to see his character development, because like this is really Nick Fury's first exposure to like weird shit going on with S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
So it's funny to just see him like reacting to like, is that an alien? Like, so there's some really cool scenes. The whole, I don't know. I don't think the whole like, this is a woman powerful movie, like that's not really thrown in your face too much, which I mean it's no more than Wonder Woman, right? So I don't think that was an issue at all. It didn't feel like it didn't feel like it was being pushed on anyone. And yeah, I mean as far as spoilers go, there's some really cool stuff going on. I was really excited to see Ben Mendelsohn. Is it Ben Mendelsohn, the guy remember the villain from Rogue One?
Yeah.
He's in it? I didn't know he was in it.
Oh, really? I didn't know
he plays one of the Kree. Yeah, and I like you don't notice him because he's wearing like makeup, but I'm pretty sure like that's his voice and lisp, and it was, yeah. So that was pretty cool to see. It was a good movie. I would give it like an 8 out of 10. It's not my favorite Marvel movie, but I was very surprised and pleased with the writing and the story. And yeah, I mean a lot of the stuff, the way she reacts to things makes a whole lot of sense. And yeah, I don't know.
I'm gonna make a attempt to see it next weekend, so maybe next week's show we can get into more details of that.
Right.
But, yeah, you're talking about the women's empowerment thing and that being shoved in your face. I was really kind of disappointed that Brie Larson made the comment she did. I was like, I don't think that needs to be made.
Yeah.
But she did, and it happened, and I don't think it doesn't affect my opinion at all of the movie. But it was just kind of a weird thing to throw out there. Yeah, and it's not.
She's surrounded by a strong female co-cast, which is great. And I don't think any of that's a problem. I mean, like, I mean, as far as like you and I are a couple dudes, and every comic book movie, I mean, there's so many superheroes that are dudes, so it's easy for us to be like, it's like, why is it bothering you? It's like there's only a handful of like female lead superhero movies out there, so it's like, let them have this one. Like there's other stuff to complain about. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I never like when you have to tear someone else down to bring yourself up. And
I understand that. But yeah, so I would say go see it. I mean, obviously you're gonna see it. And there's an after credits scene. I mean, it's what you expect as an after credits scene. But
wait. Marvel movie had an after credits scene?
I know, right?
Was it Ash Ketchum with the hat going?
It was Ash Ketchum, and he flipped his hat backwards. That was a reference to an early episode of our podcast. So, guess you gotta. Yes, just like the Marvel movies, you got to watch all of these or listen to all of them. Okay, I think we beat that like a dead horse, which I don't know why people beat dead horses. That's kind of a fucked up thing to do.
It's fun. Have you ever done it?
Nope. I've eaten horse before, though. We won't talk about that. Brightburn trailer number 2. That I just watched that before the show, but that was pretty spooky. They definitely it's definitely less superhero and more horror movie.
Yeah, it really reminded me a lot of like The Omen.
Oh yeah,
with superpowers.
Right.
I'm into this. Like,
yeah,
I know it's always a joke that I don't like horror movies around here.
Yeah, I know.
And I usually don't. And it's kind of funny that like a horror movie's coming out, but he's got superpowers. Like, oh yeah, I'm in. Oh, Chris, I'm in.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I think there's a cool twist here that we're going with, and I like that we're kind of getting these Elseworldy Superman-ish stories, which has been happening in comics forever. Like, how often do you see a analog for Superman in comics?
Right.
So, really cool and super spooky costume. Like, him coming in that scarecrow mask.
Yeah.
Just gave me chills. So
it's like, why do you think that? Like, if you want to help people, that's definitely not the mask you should be wearing, for sure. Yeah, and the mom and dad. I don't know who's playing the dad, but who's playing the mom?
Elizabeth Banks.
Pittsfield, Massachusetts native. So represent. That's where I'm living. That's where I reside. So that's made me feel good to see that.
The dad is he's from The Office.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he's the guy nobody liked from The Office.
Yeah, it's Pam's original.
Yeah,
fiance.
The scumbag fiance. Anyways,
teamed up with Jim to go fight Al Qaeda.
Yes, in the 13 Hours movie.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's all coming together. It's all part of the same universe. Yeah, so there was some crazy news that dropped this week. Everybody knows Brian K. Vaughan writer. He's taken a year hiatus on Saga. He's still writing Paper Girls, but very slowly. Like the next issue came out this week, but it has been like a while since we've had an issue. He's writing a live action Gundam movie. If nobody knows what Gundam is, I don't know what you're doing, but you got to watch. I mean, there's so many Gundam shows out there now. I couldn't even tell you which one to watch. But when I was growing up, I was watching Mobile Suit Gundam. That was the one on Toonami that everybody watched, and it's giant robots, fighting each other. And not only that, there's some political aspect to it of like, okay, there's different nations have different robots, and depending on the nation, it's almost, it's Pacific Rim, right? You look at the Pacific Rim, and each nation has their own fighting robot. But these robots, the robots are fighting each other, and it's mostly takes place in space. And Brian K. Vaughan's writing it, so
yeah, this has a lot of potential.
Mm-hmm.
I was never a big Gundam fan, but this idea in live action on the big screen with somebody as talented as Brian K. Vaughan, I'll give it a shot. It could go terribly wrong, but it also could be really freaking awesome. So,
yeah, I agree. I was like, this is the thing I read that week, and it was like, man, I did not know I needed this in my life, but I want it so bad now that they've announced it. This is great. Got some Suicide Squad 2 news.
Suicide Squad Rock Block.
SS2. There's a new team. Well, the first news was that Will Smith would not be returning.
Yeah.
Which I guess he's some YouTube thing now. He's like a YouTube sensation. He's got his own YouTube channel, and he's doing a bunch of stuff there. I don't know. Anyways, so it's still going to consist of Deadshot though. So we got the roll call for this movie. We have Ratcatcher, who I had to look him up. He controls rats and can control like cyanide gas. So very useful in the kitchen. And
high probability of dying in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, and then we have King Shark. Way cooler than Killer Croc. If you give me a lineup, you say Killer Croc or King Shark, it'd be fine. King Shark, right?
Yeah.
Okay, every time. Polka Dot Man. Yeah.
Another high probability for dying in the beginning of the movie, but if he survives, he will be the new favorite supervillain of everybody.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And Peacemaker. Don't know much about Peacemaker, not gonna lie.
Peacemaker is like a mercenary who kills people, and he does it in the name of peace. So
I think he's gonna be the leader.
So it's George W. Bush, but
it's George W.
We're getting real political today. But anyways, yeah, that's the role that Batista is rumored to be taking over.
Oh my God, please. That would be so cool, like a mercenary, but he also he thinks what he's doing is to keep the please make that Batista. I was actually hoping that Batista would be Harley Quinn, but I don't think that's gonna be.
I'm down for that casting, but I'm pretty sure Margot Robbie's doing it.
What if they put Batista in the polka dot man costume, like this huge jacked guy, and this silly polka dot pajama? Oh my God, with the goggles, I would love it.
That was just pure ecstasy right there.
Yeah, yep. So Harley Quinn's back, obviously, played Margot Robbie, and we're still getting a Deadshot. So please don't be Jada Pinkett Smith.
Nope, we actually did get the casting news.
Oh, we got the casting? Oh, okay. Who's the casting?
Well, if you go one further down in your notes, it is Idris Elba.
Oh my god, what a great surprise. I don't know why. That's the only line in the notes I haven't seen. Idris Elba as Deadshot. Dude, I'm buying 12 tickets to this movie already. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So let's talk about we can talk an hour about this. I do love Idris Elba. And I do love the fact that they typecasted him because if anybody remembers, he played the gunslinger in the Watchtower. The Dark Tower. He played the gunslinger. And that guy never misses. Well, you know who else doesn't miss? Deadshot. So obviously he's next runner up for this, right?
Yeah, and Deadshot's the leader. He's kind of the lead character. He's the guy that has to, move the movie forward. And if you're going to replace Will Smith, who better?
Right.
Will Smith was one of the better parts of that movie.
He was, but Idris Elba is, Will Smith is Will Smith in every movie. We talked about this, right? So what does Idris Elba bring to this is kind of interesting because James Gunn's directing it, and this is more of a serious type of leader. I don't ever remember Idris being like kind of goofy at all in any of the movies that he's played in. He's always such a serious character,
No, but you play him off some of the wackiness of what Harley Quinn's going to be doing, and then
exactly
the fact that Polka Dot Man is standing there, let alone what he's going to do.
The fact that he's standing there with polka dots,
yeah. So it's keyed up to be a really good movie. I guess you're still trying to push your universe forward, but I almost wonder why you don't just consider it a reboot at this point.
Right.
But then, so the big question here is who the villain's going to be.
Is there any rumors?
I don't think they've had any.
I don't know.
But the one that always is thrown around and will be thrown around until the day we see him on screen is Black Adam.
Oh my god. Yes, that would make so much sense because we're coming off Shazam, and man, that would be so good. I think that would be The Rock has such good chemistry with all of these people.
Yeah.
We've been waiting for The Rock to play Black Adam for 8 years now. I feel like we're just waiting. I don't care what happens in the DC universe. I just want The Rock to play Black Adam.
I know they announced this so long ago and they've done nothing with it.
I know they're like, we just want to put you on reserve. It's like, okay, we're still waiting over here. I'm so excited for this movie. I can't. I can't
talk about a turnaround. The first Suicide Squad. I understand there's people that like everything, but the first Suicide Squad movie was a dumpster truck on fire. It was just from start to finish had problems, and you bring in probably the only person that could get me excited about a Suicide Squad 2 to direct it.
Right.
And then this team, if this team is actually what's going to happen, because it is still rumors right now, and then you add on the fact that you're bringing Idris Elba in to play Deadshot, this is the turnaround of all turnarounds.
It is.
And we haven't even gotten the movie yet.
I know. The movie is great, but we haven't even seen it yet. Polka Dot Man. Awesome. All right, well, with
DC's is really turning around things over at the film division.
They really are.
Yeah.
Someone gets it over there. Someone's like, no, just give me the I'll type everything out and make the announcements. Just let me handle that. So with that, we're going to get to the comic book news, right?
Yeah, some sad comic book news.
Some sad comic book news for Chris. Mike Deodato Jr. is leaving Marvel this summer after he does Savage Avengers. He's going to do some more Creator Bone stuff, but that's pretty sad for you, huh?
Yeah, it sucks. I really, really like Mike Deodato, and I really like him on superhero stuff. But he's been with Marvel for quite a while now, and with that, I mean, if you want to jump into the next one, I'm excited for what his next project's going to be.
Speaking of next projects, I'm excited for this new Dark Horse book. Dark Horse announced Berserker Unbound by going from what he left to this is the book he's creating. Jeff Lemire and Mike Deodato Jr. It's a 4-issue miniseries, and it's described as what if Conan came to modern times. Yeah. Like Jeff Lemire, man, come on. This is great.
Yeah, and Jeff and Mike did a book at Marvel. You might have heard of it. It was called Thanos.
Yeah.
And it was a really good book. So those two have a good chemistry already. And then this idea that they got, I mean, Marvel's kind of already doing it, but this is on more realistic terms.
Yeah.
It's just a cool idea. 4 issues. He's jumping right out of Savage Avengers. This is going to come out. I'm excited for it, and I'm excited to see him get more work on the creator-owned side and what he's going to do. Hopefully he does a lot with Jeff Lemire because that man can write some books.
Yeah, he can. Speaking of him, Jeff Lemire is writing and drawing an original book called Frog Catcher coming in September.
Have you ever read any of the books that he's drawn?
Yeah, is it called Trillium? One where it's like watercolors?
Yeah.
Is that the one he's done? Really sad book. Yeah, I've read that. But yeah, I think that's as far as like read stuff that he's drawn. That's the only one.
Yeah, so I really like his art style. It's way different and it's weird, and he does a lot with that watercolory style.
Yeah.
And I like when he does stuff by himself because even though his Jeff Lemire stuff as a whole is 9 times out of 10 really good, the stuff he does by himself, I feel like he really digs deep into a more personal story. And it, like you said with Trillium, like Trillium's a really sad story.
Yep.
And Sweet Tooth is all about being an outcast, and all these different themes that especially people in our space can relate to. So I'm excited to see more of him drawing and getting back to that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that guy, he's always doing like a million projects, and they're all usually really good. Dark Horse announces an Orville comic. I've never watched Orville, but it's titled Season 1.5, written by David Goodman and artist by David Cabeza. I've never read that or watched it, but
I talked about Orville a few times. I really like Orville. It's a less serious Star Trek.
Right.
I'm kind of torn on this because I don't know how it's going to translate into a comic. And because Orville will take very serious topics, but then have kind of humorous moments throughout it. So it'll be interesting to see. I might try this out. I'm still kind of mulling around whether I'm that into Orville to dig into it.
Yeah, no, I mean, we watch a lot of shows, but I always usually stray away from when the shows go to comic books. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah, there's only so many books you can read. And like I said, it's something I enjoy, but I don't know if it's that caliber. Like, it's not like Star Wars where 100% I'm going to read it.
Right. Speaking of what you're going to read, let's talk about the comics we read this week. Man, the segues are they're happening for me today.
On point.
Green Lantern number 5. So we get a little more plot development from Grant Morrison, which means we're going in circles. No. So we find out why Hal Jordan is trying to... first off, Liam Sharp, man. This guy's art is just... The art in this book is so good. We've talked about that. But we find out that the reason Hal has gone to the Dark Stars, Black Stars, I can never remember. Why he's gone to them is because there's actually a mole within the Green Lanterns that to bring out the mole of the Green Lanterns, he's got to pretend to be a mole. He's been sent by the Guardians to do this. And to kind of prove his allegiance to the Black Stars, he has to kill Adam Strange, because we find out that they're on planet Ron, And if anybody is a huge Adam Strange fan, which there's probably like 3 of you, we know that Adam Strange is like the protector of the planet Ron. And when they say, oh, hey, we're on Ron, isn't there a protector here already? They're like, yeah, there is, Adam Strange, and now you have to kill him to prove your allegiance to us. So I guess we'll find out how far Hal Jordan will actually go to prove his secret allegiance, because they're developing a weapon that he has to find out like what it is and what their plan is with the weapon. So it's a pretty cool story so far. It's Hal Jordan. It's a space cop story, is what it is. Mm-hmm. Which is, it's exactly what Green Lantern should be. So I thought that was really good this week. I have not read Justice League number 19. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So Justice League number 19, it was the issue that we wanted. It brought the team back together. Mxyzptlk is the villain. He shows up right away. They have a really cool sequence of action with the team working together. And then the team has to go to an alternate dimension, the 6th dimension, as a matter of fact, where we find out that's where the Monitor, the Anti-Monitor, the Worldbringer, and Perpetua are from.
They all just chill there, hang out, like
yeah. So when they defeat them, that's where they go back to.
Okay.
So the 6th dimension is really what's messing things up, and now that the Justice League destroyed the Source Wall, it's really affecting the other dimensions. And Mxyzptlk has a great conversation about what's going on in the 5th dimension, mm-hmm. and how with the Source Wall gone, like imaginations are going awry, and it's really affecting the 5th dimension. Mm-hmm. There's just some really great moments throughout it. We complained a lot about the last issue,
right?
And where the book was going. This one really was what I want out of a Justice League book, and really move forward what I feel like Scott Snyder had, or at least what I thought he had planned for moving forward. Definitely recommend, if you dropped off Justice League because of the other ones, because you felt the same way as us, this one's the one to pick back up on. It was a really great story, had a great ending. Something happens I don't really want to give away, and is going to lead to a really cool story.
Awesome. I can't wait to read it.
Yeah.
So we had Paper Girls number 26, I believe. And I feel like it's been a longer time. Yeah, Paper Girls 26 by Brian K. Vaughan. I feel like it's been longer than a month since I've seen the last issue. It's so the last issue, it picks up where the last issue left off, 25, where all the girls get split up and sent to different timelines, and so they're in different spots during each within time, and we kind of see where each one is going, and then we find out, like, they show the last girl, and she's greeted by a like a doppelganger or a replicant of one of the other girls that originally in the story kind of like messed things up for them. But what they find out is when she arrives, she's like, no, I'm another version of her, that we're here to like save the world and kind of like, take it back from what it is today. And we need you to help out. And so she kind of goes in and finds out that, like, when she walks in this room, all the girls are there, and they're all older versions, or like not all the same age, but different like versions of all the other girls. So I don't know if like this is the end point of the book that we're supposed to be seeing. There's a lot of time travel stuff going on, so it's pretty cool. And they're working on some device to try to save the world from like the older, they call them like the adult overlords or whatever they are. But it's pretty cool. It's definitely an interesting book. Brian K. Vaughan he's just real nutty for sure. Batman number 66. I was very confused about that this week because I read Batman 66 and I read Batman 66 in the new comics this week, and I was like, wait a second, what? I was like, I don't think there's a 60s Batman comic coming out this week. I would have heard about it. But again, like, man, we talked about Tom King coming back to the book. We're in another like dream sequence still. I don't know where Batman is, man. Like, we're still like the whole issue is the Question and Catwoman like talking to each other, and like I don't know what's going on. Like Catwoman is like talking about Batman and like who he is and what he's supposed to be, and the Question is like talking about like, yeah, we're still inside his mind, but like this is his defense mechanism that he's built or something. I don't know. I feel like maybe I missed something, but like I feel like we've just been in Batman's head for way too long. That's just me personally. Like I've talked about this before. I read Batman books to see like Batman interacting with characters, punching people in the face. I don't read Batman books to stay inside Batman's head and not get any Batman in the book.
Yeah, I had this discussion with a friend recently, and I always felt like Batman did better in small situations.
Right.
And it was one of the things I loved about Scott Snyder's run initially was the situations you put Batman in were small, personal situations. And even though some of them didn't go to become the greatest stories ever, they were still really good stories. Mm-hmm. Where he faltered was when he kept trying to escalate and make things bigger and bigger and bigger. And by the end, it got a little out of control.
Right.
And yeah, it sounds, mind you, I haven't read this. I'm way behind on Batman, but it sounds to me like they're going into a little bit of mysticism that isn't where I want Batman lying.
Yeah, I'm sure Tom King will wrap it all up soon, I hope. But
yeah, I got faith in him. I mean, he's a great writer, so.
Yeah, and then I got to talk about Doomsday Clock, but I don't know if you want to wait till the end for that.
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about it.
Yeah, so Doomsday Clock number 9. Chris, if you remember what Chris said when Doomsday Clock number 8 came out, he's like, this was the best number 1 for the series. Yeah, things are really taking off. So they've escalated to the fact that everybody knows Dr. Manhattan is on Mars. So we get this awesome like roll call in the beginning of like screenshots of every team going out to Mars to fight him. Some of the heroes realize that the explosion wasn't actually caused by Firestorm. With the interaction with like Superman's in the hospital from the explosion, they find out there's an energy signature that comes from the explosion. Well, they trace the energy signature to Mars, and that's where we know Dr. Manhattan's just been chilling. We get a little more insight to what Dr. Manhattan sees. It's pretty interesting. Like he's like answering questions from the future. So he like sometimes he doesn't make sense because like he has trouble like deciphering where he is within the timeline. It's a really great issue. We see a lot of different heroes try to battle Dr. Manhattan. We get to see like Doom Patrol, the Bat Family, the Green Lanterns, it's the Titans. Everybody's basically on Mars except Superman, except Batman. The Trinity is the only heroes that, well, plus Lex Luthor, but there's other side stories going on. Like Superman is injured. Lex Luthor comes to Lois Lane and wants to talk to her about that and like how he's noticed that there's things wrong with the timeline. What else is going on? Batman is injured and wakes up, and he realizes he has to get a message to everyone on Mars that he knows that the explosion wasn't caused by a firestorm. So he's like trying to get a message to everybody in time to say, hey, this is a trap you guys are going to. And then we see everybody trying to fight Dr. Manhattan. He just destroys like everyone. And then with all that's happening, Wonder Woman is actually like talking to the UN to try to get some peace exchange between like metahumans and everyone else. And while she's doing that, we like Giganta and like Black Adam are like the villains are attacking her because they're like, hey, we heard all the heroes are on Mars, so we're just gonna come attack you while you're trying to talk diplomacy with all these people. There's a lot going on in this issue, and it basically ends like Dr. Manhattan's still on Mars, and lo and behold, none of the heroes could defeat him because we know that the final fight should be between Superman and Dr. Manhattan. I thought it was an awesome issue, though. It was so cool.
Yeah, it finally moved the story forward in like a meaningful way.
Yeah.
I believe we made this analogy before the show, but it feels like he's been putting pieces in place on the chessboard, and now he's finally ready to attack. I was just looking up, trying to figure this out, because it starts with him being in December 27th, 3019. And I couldn't remember if that was the time that the Legion of Superheroes were in during the New 52 run. and I believe it is.
Oh, okay.
So it hints at what happened with New 52, because if anyone read Legion of Superheroes and New 52, Legion of Superheroes were not affected by the New 52 reboot, but everything in the past was. So there's a hint here of what happened during New 52 and how the timeline was muddied through all that, which was really cool too. I liked Dr. Manhattan playing with the superheroes and basically tearing all their... They would bring everything they could at him, and he would just kind of be like, oh, this is interesting, and find a way to do it himself. The moment where all the magical heroes were attacking him, and he's like, you think this is magic? And he's able to like recreate it through his powers.
Yeah.
Just awesome.
Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, that was the cool part too.
Great issue. It's the first time in this series where I can say this is a great issue. And I am super excited for issue 10 now. So
yeah, I really liked it. I can't wait for the finale. For sure. Yeah, that's all I had this week.
So I didn't get a ton of time to read this week, but I did get those two and one other, which is Star Wars Vader Dark Visions. And this is possibly my favorite Star Wars book in the new continuity. So my favorite, at least single issue. The whole point of this book is to show Vader from a different light. So we get this planet that isn't in connection with the Galactic Empire. They don't have space traveling technology, but they do have some technology. There's this giant creature that lives on the planet, and it's basically forced them all underground. Well, the Empire and the Rebels are fighting above this planet. All the people on the planet see as the gods fighting each other. And during the battle, Vader's TIE fighter, or TIE bomber, is shot down and brought to the planet. And when it does, he's come into contact with this giant creature. And so it's told in this way of the character we have, he feels a reason he's supposed to stay out and watch what's going on. And he comes to the conclusion that Vader is a god sent down to save his people. And he watches Vader just single-handedly destroy this giant, like, Godzilla-esque creature. It's just a cool play with perception and how a story can be told from different points of views. And how, the old saying that you're the hero of your own story. And just showing Vader as a character doing the things he does that make him a villain, but at the same time, he was a hero to somebody.
Right.
It is such a good issue. I really recommend picking it up. And I was looking at the back of it and reading about the other issues, and it looks like every issue is going to be a single story on its own. It's not going to continue this particular story. So they're going to tell stories of Vader, of him being kind of the hero to somebody.
Huh. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's a really cool, and it has a really awesome cover. If you're watching the video, it's Vader basically looking like an old Dark Knight.
Oh wow, yeah.
Black Knight, not Batman.
Right.
With a shield that has the Empire symbol on it and his sword. So yeah,
cool.
Check that out, everybody, if you're a Star Wars fan.
Yeah,
so Mike. With that, where can people find you?
But if you're a Fortress Ricker fan, you can find me at Fortress Ricker on Twitter. Where can they find you, Chris?
They can find me at Fortress Chris on Twitter, or you can follow the show at FCN_official. And as always, you can find everything we do on FortressComicNews.com. Remember, everybody, if you are looking at our beautiful faces, that you can like, share, subscribe to the channel, comment down below, and if you are just listening to our sultry voices, to give us a review on iTunes or whatever other service you listen to us on. So thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll see you all next week.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.